myself first. My name is Dr. Heidi Petak, and I'm a professor of communication and very passionate about helping us in this season learn how to communicate well across the political divide and to find ways to connect with each other despite our disagreements. And both Kelly and I operate in different political spheres. I'm a conservative Christian. My husband's a pastor, so I have a lot of labels I wear that make it very interesting for dialogue, but hope to continue to be an open-hearted person that is able to connect with people with whom I disagree.
And I'm Kelly, and I live in very blue state Seattle. I am a liberal, non-religious, non-theist, and identify with a lot of the progressive movement and agenda. So
even after all these months of us talking,
you haven't changed my mind, and I haven't changed yours.
I don't get it. It's a failure.
And yet somehow we're still friends.
Somehow we're still friends. That's amazing. I'm glad that we are.
Me too.
And I'm thinking we are at pretty close to our 1-year anniversary of the Heart Perception Project.
We are. Wow. It's been a really interesting year.
It has been.
And we've had a couple of workshops in that time. We've talked to a couple of high schools as well.
I flew to Seattle. You flew to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Might be time to do something in Colorado now that you're
right.
there.
This particular area is very interesting because we have a very strong conservative Christian faction with like over 200 Christian conservative nonprofits that are headquartered in Colorado Springs. But then you have Denver, which has a very strong liberal faction as well. So I'm right in between the two of those. And we've started a civil discourse group here in town. And this last time we went around and introduced ourselves, and the man sitting next to me, he said, I'm a liberal and a progressive, just moved here to the area. And man, I've noticed that there's a lot of conservatives here that are really backwards. And I'm assuming that's what we are all here to change. And I was the next one to introduce myself. And I said, pastor, and I'm a conservative Christian. And and he scooted his chair away from me. And we both started laughing. I looked at him, I said, yeah, I'm one of the people that you're here to change. He goes, no, I didn't mean that.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
Very funny.
Did you also tell him that you have a PhD, very well educated?
I did, and I saw him go,
Right. Does not compute.
So backwards could have a PhD? How does that work?
Oh, that is funny. I propose that we have this talk. There's so much interesting developments in the news.
I'll tell you what.
And particularly around what's happened with the Me Too movement. Mm-hmm. And specifically with Roy Moore, the senator in Alabama, who has come under fire for his penchant for his alleged penchant for dating underage girls.
Yes.
Or at least when he was in his 30s. And by underage, under age of consent, which is 18. And what sort of monkey wrench this is setting up in the upcoming election, because evangelicals, as I understand, and you can elaborate on this, are very, motivated to have their agenda supported in government, which is to keep religion vital in public life and to limit access to abortion. And so I'm just so curious what my evangelical friend is thinking and pondering with all of this. So this is why I wanted to have the conversation.
Well, thank you for initiating it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has been quite interesting to watch all of the dialogue that's happening, and people that uh, that say it's a bunch of hogwash and we're going to go ahead and vote for him anyway, and then those that say no, he's totally unfit to be in office. The tricky thing is that I've read things from the press that says it's not fair, even from the liberal press that says it's not fair to try somebody through the press. And yet at the same time, the reports from these women are so detailed that I don't see what agenda that they would have to come out with this unless it was the truth. So I don't think that we should try people through the press. I think there should be a proper process, and yet we're past the statute of limitations of when they can legally prosecute him. And I'm really, really sad right now. I was trying to assess my emotional state this morning, and I thought, I think I'm just plain sad. I'm sad that that a man like Roy Moore, who professes to be an evangelical Christian, is. I think that there's a good possibility that he's not being truthful about what actually happened, and for me, the beauty of the gospel of being a Christian is that I'm able to say, these are the things that I've done wrong, and I have sinned, and fall on the grace of God and apologize for all I'm worth and try to make it right. Because just sitting there and saying that I haven't done those things and I haven't done anything wrong, if I actually have, is to live a lie, really, and is to defame the name of my God, who I want to do everything in my power to worship and to live rightly before him. But there's grace to be found. And so I guess I don't understand what is keeping him. I know that his career is at stake, but I don't think I understand what is keeping him from just plain telling the truth and confessing if those things happened. I was just watching this morning when Bill Clinton apologized and admitted to his affair with Monica Lewinsky. And then, even Trump apologized for the remarks that he made. Of course, he was caught on tape doing it. But we have a history of politicians who were caught doing something wrong and apologized for it. We're able to apologize for it. And here we have a man who's been caught, and granted it was many years ago, but that doesn't excuse it, doing something wrong, and is not able to fess up and be the man and do the courageous thing and say that, yeah, this is the truth. This is what I did. I even applaud Louis C.K. for saying, you're right, that these stories are true. This is what I did. I think that is courageous. It is courageous, and it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Acknowledging the power in play in their actions and the abuse of power.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so if Roy Moore, this is what I'm really curious about, because I hear that it's causing dismay in you about if he's professing to be a devout Christian, where is his humility? Where is his asking for forgiveness? Where are the qualities that you value deeply in your Christian belief?
Yeah,
right?
And being able to admit your sin and imperfection.
Right. Yeah, and I hear that, and I know that to be like your passion. But I also know your passion is, as you put it, to defend those who cannot defend themselves, and you include unborn babies in that. Right. And so if he were in Colorado and your choice is between someone who, by all rights, is demonstrating, leanings towards pedophilia and hubris that has no sense of humility, and choosing someone, voting for him who's likely to uphold like your values in Congress, and then voting for someone, the other person who won't. Or I guess you also have the option of writing in a candidate, because there are several Republicans who are saying, can you just write in Dr. Strange, who was the Republican candidate that Roy Moore unseated. So you could write in somebody, or you could just not vote at all. But knowing that those two latter choices might have the effect of putting someone in office who doesn't hold some of the other values that that are important to you, what would you do?
I would risk it, and I would write in a candidate. I could not vote for Roy Moore.
Mm-hmm.
With these 5 women now who have come out with very specific, detailed incidents of him assaulting them.
Right.
I could not vote for him. I couldn't. And I would write in a candidate.
Okay. And then, so then not in any way to be a gotcha here, because I'm just curious. Right. I'm just so curious. Now, a year later, and because I understand, like, I personally look at this Me Too movement, it's fascinating to me, and I love it as a woman, because I've been harassed and I've experienced being on the receiving end of power wielded over me by men.
Yes.
And so there's a consciousness, like prior to this Me Too movement, it's sort of like just what we had to deal with as women.
Right.
In my mind, right? But now I'm seeing like there's this collective, this is crazy. Right. We shouldn't have to deal with this. And there's a lot of speaking up. So a year later, knowing that there have been 16 women who've come out against Donald Trump, all saying the same thing, like sexual assault, abuse of power, this Roy Moore's actions are enough for you to write someone else in. Like, going back, do you feel like your approach to voting for Donald Trump might have been different?
It wouldn't have been, and here's why. It's
okay.
Because a write-in candidate for a senator does have a better chance. There is a history of that actually working, and you can write in a Republican candidate, and with enough of a groundswell of attention, then that candidate can win. We don't have any precedent of a write-in candidate for a president ever winning. And with this being such a deeply rooted two-party system, unfortunately, any vote other than a Republican vote, I believed, would have put a Democrat in office. And I wasn't willing to risk that. So, yeah, as much as I am completely disgusted by Trump's treatment of women in the past, I was willing to risk it. And that's super, super hard as a woman, and a well-educated woman who does stand up for women's rights in so many ways. It was a very, very difficult vote for me, but it was a party vote. It wasn't a person vote. And in the case of Roy Moore, with it being a senator and with a chance for a write-in candidate actually being able to win, I couldn't just make the party vote. I would have to make a person vote.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you still very much weigh the bigger picture in, light of the dilemma at hand. So had Roy Moore maybe been a presidential candidate up against a Democrat, it might be a different situation for you.
Well, here's the thing too. Like, it made it easier for me because Trump apologized and said it was wrong. And he said, I am not a perfect person and I never claimed to be. And that helps me go, okay, he's aware that he has sinned. He's aware that he has made poor judgment calls in the past and done hurtful things. He's
Mhm.
aware of it and he's able to admit it. And for
Mhm.
me, that says he's willing at least to possibly have people around him that are going to keep him accountable as a president to make the right decisions. But then you have someone like Roy Moore who's not even admitting it. He's still saying that he is righteous and infallible and whatever else. And so that makes a world of difference for me because I don't see any humility in Roy Moore in being able to admit what he's done in the past, even though you have very specific accounts of these women telling it to everybody of what he did.
Right. And specifically one woman who said, "Hey, my husband and I voted for Trump. This is
Yeah,
non-political." Yeah.
right, right. Yes. And
And and I hear your point, and I feel like that's a good one. There's that part of me, like, this is where I watch the part of me that wants to make you wrong, and that part of me says, in this year that Trump has been president, I am not tracking any time that he's admitted to fallibility. He admitted it when it was in his favor to do so to get elected. But whenever somebody makes constructive criticism of him, he always goes on defense. He never says, "You're right, I'm wrong. Let me learn." You know, and that point is not really relevant to this conversation. Although I want it to be, like, because I'm specifically, interested in the whole Roy Moore and how that works, and I see that at the point of voting for Trump, how that element was important. What's happened in the year since then is, its own animal. But
right. And I see in you, just even as you're talking, that there's a lot of energy behind uh, a desire to see right be done and to see women be valued in the way that they should be valued. And I'm totally with you on
yeah.
that. Very much. I think that with the Me Too movement and everything that has happened in the last year, for these women to now have the courage to stand up and tell the truth, I think it's a groundswell of women that are getting that courage now to
Mhm.
say this happened to me too. And that's a good thing because
Yes.
there's a whole lot of people, regardless of religion or political affiliation or career, that are being called on the carpet now. And it
Right.
shows that it's a widespread problem across the board, no matter what faith you hold to, no matter if you're famous, if you're a politician, it's across the board. It's a problem across the board.
Absolutely.
And the
And
fact that it is like headline front and center now, I believe that is a good thing. It's a
yeah.
good thing for women around the world to see women in America standing up and saying, this is not okay, and we're not going to let it happen anymore.
I agree. And another thing I completely appreciate is that it's daylighting blindness, willful blindness within our own teams.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like even within myself, okay, not just within the Democrats and the liberals, but the whole, like, giving Bill Clinton a pass, those days are done. I mean, there are rape allegations against him. There are multiple, yes, some of them were consenting affairs,
Mhm.
but now fully just looking at it head on, his history with wielding power
Yeah.
against women,
Mhm.
that's not okay.
Okay, so
And
can I
I
flip it
really,
around?
what?
Can I flip it around?
Sure.
So did you vote for Bill Clinton?
Was I old enough to vote for Bill Clinton?
We would have been in college then.
Yeah. Yeah, then I would have, yes.
So if you could go back now
Hmm.
and you knew what you knew about
Hmm.
Bill Clinton, would you have been able to vote for him for president?
I probably would have voted for Ross Perot, which is how Bill Clinton got into to office anyway.
That's true.
If Ross Perot hadn't been running, we probably would have had was Bush the first? He was running for re-election, right?
Yeah.
So it was Clinton, Perot, and Bush. Yeah. So Clinton wouldn't have been in office if it wasn't for Perot.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Yes, I think it's so hard to know. Like my mask part of me that wants to be congruent, I want to say, sure, I wouldn't have voted for him because I want to hold up. But then, like there is a strong element of team sports, right? Yes. And we just want our team to win. And I watched that in Alabama with all of these people. Like I monitor Twitter and I've seen tweets like, I'd rather vote for a pedophile than a Democrat because a pedophile screws only children, whereas Democrats screw everyone.
Oh my goodness.
And this is team thinking. This is not, and this is what I feel like you and I in our work are trying to make inroads into. Like, stop looking at people as this mass of energy that we need to be afraid of, and let's look at like the individuals and the individuals having very valid concerns and anxieties and personal influences, and let's learn about that so we can stop doing that mass consciousness, or what is it, mob mentality,
right,
in our approach to things.
Yes. And hold people of all walks of life and all faiths to be accountable for their actions.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So this has been a fun talk.
It's been fun. Yes. I'm thankful that when these issues come up, that you and I can have civil discourse and to talk about it honestly.
Yes.
With each other. Thank you. And thank you for being respectful of me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. The video's glitching just a little bit, but what I heard is that you appreciate that we're able to talk about this and maintain our respect and love for each other.
That's right. That's right. And that's what it's about. And I feel like if more people in our country could do what we do, then this would be a much more peaceful place to live.
Yes, I agree. I'll wave my fingers at that.
All right. Love you, friends.
Love you.
Bye.